Spiritual Teaching 291. Love each other. 1. My people, on the day when this manifestation ceases, you will feel an emptiness around you, and you will feel weak because you have become accustomed to receiving these teachings. For a long time they have offered you much strength, comfort, healing balsam, and knowledge. You will miss this manifestation, which offered you great inspiration in your life. 2. Truly, I tell you that if you understood things more clearly, you would be awaiting the day of my departure with greater serenity, knowing that my spirit can never separate from you nor my inspirations. 3. Behold why I have frequently told you not to take my word for granted. Do not come to listen to my teaching out of habit, for if you do, you will feel great sorrow in your heart when this manifestation comes to an end. 4. You still have a brief time to study and comprehend many of my teachings, to eliminate your doubts, and to strengthen your beliefs, reasoning, and analysis using the solid foundation granted to you by my divine law. 5. Remember that I have taught you to reject all forms of worship which represent a routine or obligated practice. Do not forget that I have simplified your practices, form of worship, and beliefs, thus allowing your conscience to guide you. 6. I have given you specific laws to obey and to follow so that you will not pursue other doctrines that are false, although they may appear to be good and legitimate doctrines. 7. The one who has complete confidence in my word will not stumble nor fail, and soon will harvest good fruits. 8. Charity, understanding, and forgiveness toward your brethren all originate from the law of love. That is a fundamental law that I have inspired you to practice as you fulfill your spiritual mission. 9. You do not need human knowledge to discover the truth, nor will you be able to find it in books written by man. The Spirit has the gift and power to discover the truth. 10. My word is easy to comprehend, and the principles of my doctrine are perfectly defined. Therefore, do not fear that any future obstacles will prevent you from following my path. 11. I am aware of your feelings and know that you want to be faithful to this doctrine that I have brought to you. Be alert and pray, listen to and analyze my teachings, so that you will not weaken during the moment of an ordeal and betray your good intentions. Remember that in the second era Jesus was followed by large multitudes who appeared to have understood his teachings. However, those multitudes abandoned the divine master during the moments when he was captured and crucified. Even the apostles, who had followed him closely, weakened in their strength and faith during those crucial moments. 12. This occurs because the material body is weak. Thus, it needs a strong spirit to support the body. 13. Nourish yourself with the essence of my word, so that you will be strong when you confront an ordeal. You will acquire strength through prayer, meditation, practicing my teaching, and through your experiences in life. 14. Do not seek to glorify my doctrine by presenting it publicly through ceremonies filled with splendor and elegance. If you present my doctrine in that manner, you will fail to truly sow the divine seed of my teachings in the hearts of your brethren, because it will not be based on a solid foundation. 15. Do not seek to impress your brethren with testimonies of miraculous healing or marvelous occurrences that are not true, because you both can become fanatics. The individuals who are truly following my doctrine, who worship me in a sincere manner, and who truly sow and spread the seed of love are those who are so humble, simple, and modest that frequently are not noticed by others. They pray and no one is aware that they are praying. They heal their ill brethren and few, if anyone, sees them. They shed invisible tears for their fellow human beings, for instead of shedding visible tears, their tears are offered internally to the Divine Father. 16. Do not fear, my people. I am not telling you that what you do is imperfect. I am only correcting the wrong things that you do and receive all good things that you offer me. 17. Listen carefully to my word so that you will learn my teachings, allowing your conscience to judge each of your deeds. Your conscience will inform you if you are doing good or bad deeds and whether you are fulfilling your responsibilities. If you truly feel the suffering of your brethren, if you practice charity with those who are poor and needy, and if you make a true effort to eliminate human misery without expecting anything in return, you will be fulfilling my divine doctrine and will experience true spiritual peace. 18. Disciples, during this period of tragedies, wars, and suffering, what does the one who is strong spiritually need to do to help this doctrine flourish? All of my disciples need to unite and live in harmony with me and with one another, so that their strength and enlightenment will be felt throughout the world. 19. Behold, that man is not interested in progressing spiritually on earth, including his forms of worship, which have become traditions and routines. 20. Behold how even during this time of scientific and human advances men still murder one another. Friendship and brotherhood do not exist between many nations, and people are hostile to one another because of different beliefs. 21. Although nations and people do not appear to be ready to accept things that are spiritual and divine, you still need to sow my seed of love in those places. As you walk the path of life, you will perceive human misery, ignorance, the need of spiritual enlightenment, and much suffering. Pray for your brethren. Send them your good thoughts filled with spiritual enlightenment and inspiration. Allow them to hear your words full of sincerity, spiritual enlightenment, comfort, and healing balsam. You will then become aware of how much your brethren truly need the divine seed. 22. Work tirelessly along your path, and I assure you that the peace that you now experience as you fulfill your mission on earth will become much greater once your spirit departs from this world. But for now, you should not think of those rewards. 23. The individual who still believes that a spiritual being is going to be rewarded or punished according to what it did during its brief existence on earth truly lacks spiritual enlightenment. 24. My word during this era will help humanity to become spiritually enlightened because man still lives in a state of darkness. Although humanity is now very materialistic, hostile, and selfish, you will observe that man will be transformed because of my doctrine. My doctrine, which at times can be as strong as a storm or as gentle as a breeze, will eliminate all things that are impure to help mankind become spiritually enlightened. It will help him to establish a future built on love and harmony. 25. When mankind begins to think universally of love, each human being will seek to perfect himself, to serve his brethren, and to fulfill the laws of God. Man will then be fulfilling the laws of God, but not because of the fear of divine punishment. He will fulfill those laws because he truly believes in them. During that period, humanity will evolve spiritually and intellectually. 26. Pride has prevented man from becoming sensitive to his spiritual being, thus preventing him from evolving. 27. Man will not be able to discover the harmony that should exist in his life if he fails to maintain harmony between the material and spiritual part of his being. 28. My people, I have given you my teachings, however. If you have any doubts, you will need to pray and meditate for divine enlightenment. I will then clarify what you want to know. 29. I welcome those who have journeyed along my path without losing faith. As a reward for your unyielding faith, here is my word for which you have long awaited. Nourish yourself with its essence until you have quenched your thirst. 30. Blessed are those who believe in the word of the divine Master, because they will see the fulfillment of my promises. 31. Today you have come to receive what you have long awaited. Tomorrow, when you are in the presence of large multitudes, you will truly know why I have summoned you. Only I am aware that there are many who are waiting to receive the good news. I want my messengers to take them my doctrine before they lose all hope. They have the same hunger and thirst that you had before you received my teachings. I want you to have the same compassion for those individuals that I had for you. 32. Humanity is waiting for me to summon it. Although man lacks faith, he is waiting for Christ to tell him, "Arise and walk." 33. There are many on earth who are spiritually dead, blind, ill, and abandoned. Those who suffer physically or spiritually are more sensitive to my presence. Therefore, I will summon them first. Those on earth who are materially rich, powerful, and great believe that they do not need me. What can Christ give them if they have everything? Can he, perhaps, give them spiritual gifts or a place in eternity? They are not interested in those things. 34. That is why during this era, I have chose to manifest my doctrine to those who are suffering spiritually and physically. I know that those individuals are seeking me and want to find me. It is natural for them to feel my presence when I begin to manifest myself to humanity during this time. 35. When the moment arrives, this large multitude of ill, poor, oppressed, and abandoned individuals will arise when I tell them to, and they will become the strongest and most invincible people on earth. No human power on earth will be able to silence this multitude when it arises to tell the world. The Lord is manifesting Himself. He has brought us new teachings that will prepare mankind to communicate with Him from spirit to spirit. This is the truth, for I have given you these teachings and doctrine through human spokesmen to spiritually prepare mankind. These teachings will reach my messengers in different parts of the world. 36. When my messengers inform others about my doctrine, those individuals will be deeply touched with my teachings, as this multitude was deeply touched when it heard my teachings directly through the human spokesman. Before my messengers share my teachings with others, they will need to prepare themselves by praying and practicing deeds of charity. Thus, they will speak with purity and will receive my divine inspiration. Truly, I tell you that when you speak in that manner, those who are spiritually dead will resurrect, and the unbelievers will confess that only the disciples of the Holy Spirit can speak in this manner. 37. I am preparing you because you will be confronting a humanity that lacks peace, love, harmony, and brotherhood. You will need to give your brethren the divine message that you have received. When your brethren in different nations receive my teachings, you will observe the same miraculous regeneration occur in them. My divine word will help them to eliminate their materialism, idolatry, vices, and ignorance. 38. Once you are spiritually prepared to become teachers on earth, you will have a great mission to fulfill during this third era. 39. Today you are a beginning student who is receiving my teaching. Tomorrow, you will study it as my disciple. Later, as my apostle, you will practice and live by the doctrine that you have received. Do not forget that you learned about practicing spirituality through the simplicity of my word. Therefore, you should never add anything to my doctrine that is unnecessary. 40. Compare your present to your past to find out if you have progressed spiritually. Many who have examined their progress in that manner have told me, Lord, how is it possible that I have remained spiritually asleep for such a long period? Why did I remain inactive and react with indifference to your teachings? How could I have rejected you if you were within my being? 41. My doctrine has great strength. Therefore, no one will be able to reject nor resist it. It has the power to awaken those who are spiritually asleep and to deeply touch the hearts of those who are very stubborn and insensitive. I have never punished any individual to make him fulfill his spiritual mission, nor have I forced anyone to follow my path. I have never used words to threaten you nor to make you fearful. My words have always been gentle and persuasive, thus helping you to develop faith, confidence, and obedience. 42. Tomorrow, you will speak to your brethren in that same manner, awaking love rather than fear. You will only be able to sow my divine seed with love. 43. My doctrine needs to be pure when it reaches humanity so that man will arise to fulfill my law and embrace the cross of his salvation. 44. I will fulfill the promise that I made to mankind, for my promises are always fulfilled. I will send humanity these teachings through my disciples, which will help man prepare himself to communicate joyfully with me from spirit to spirit, because after 1950 I will no longer manifest myself through human spokesmen. 45. My people, you need to unite because the period of trials and ordeals is approaching. The enemies of my doctrine are uniting to battle against you. However, if you utilize the power of prayer and strengthen yourselves through my teachings, the enemy will not triumph over you. Your power will be spiritual, rather than from material wealth or power. 46. My people, take advantage of the opportunity that you now have to fulfill your mission. If you delay your mission, you will not have the opportunities in the future that you have today. 47. Come sit at my table with a sincere devotion to learn the things that the Divine Master has come to reveal. 48. These last few years of my communication will never be forgotten by those individuals who truly value the revelations that I have brought man during this era. 49. My disciples will speak without tiring of the revelations that the Divine Master has given them. 50. Those individuals whose lives have become a routine and who now react with indifference to my teachings will disregard the great revelations that I have reserved for the final days of my communication. They will be unable to perceive the changes that will occur as my manifestation ceases, because they have never aspired to evolve spiritually and attain perfection. 51. I need to speak to this multitude in this manner, so that those who are spiritually asleep will awaken. I do not want only a part of this multitude to be saved. I want everyone to become spiritually enlightened. 52. Each individual will be as an open book in the presence of his brethren, and on its pages will be reflected what each one carries in his spirit. If your deeds reflect spirituality, love, and wisdom, the world will recognize you as the foreigners of a new era, an era of enlightenment and spiritual evolution. On the contrary, if you continue to worship material things and traditions, then your pages will reflect fanaticism, ignorance, confusion, and darkness. That individual should not speak of my doctrine until he becomes spiritually enlightened. Although his intentions are good, he would only harm the work of others who are sowing my true spiritual seed. 53. My people, as my manifestation comes to an end, what have you done with my doctrine which makes me speak to you in this manner? 54. You have been spiritually asleep, believing that my manifestation would continue throughout eternity with no other purpose than to delight you with my word and to anoint those who come to you for help. Today, you are finally awakening in the presence of the truth. The year 1950 is approaching, which marks the final year of my manifestation, as I had previously announced. 55. Few, very few, are awaiting the arrival of 1950 and preparing themselves for the trials that they will confront as this period comes to an end. 56. The year 1950 will not only be a significant year for this multitude, but also for others. It signals the end of one phase and the birth of another one. For religions, it will be a year of judgment and self-analysis. It will also be a time of trials and ordeals for scientists and all of humanity. 57. When this doctrine spreads, and man realizes that my manifestation was heard through the human spokesman for the last time in 1950, he will understand that the Holy Spirit manifested its spiritual enlightenment during this era. Then theologians will begin to examine my manifestation. 58. Be vigilant and pray, my people. Although my communication will soon cease, you will comprehend those things that will occur and what you need to do in the future, if you truly meditate. 59. This teaching will prepare you so that you will not stumble along the journey that you will have to undertake. 60. I bless you, my people, because you have come seeking my word, which offers comfort and nourishment to your spirit. You have learned its essence, its meaning, and have come to know my will. 61. This word has awakened your spirit, which had been asleep for a long time. These teachings bring you great joy because they have filled your heart with peace and love. They have brought warmth to those in the cold and great hope to those who have yearned for spiritual enlightenment. This was the revelation that I have safeguarded for the people of spiritual Israel and for all of humanity. 62. During this time I have come to communicate with you in the same way that I communicate with the angels in heaven. I have not treated your spirit differently because it dwells on earth, for that is where I sent it to dwell. I love all beings the same. You are evolving spiritually and following the path that will lead you to the Lord. I await your presence in my divine home. Become aware of the true path that you need to follow to guide you to the paternal home, to the heart of the Father, and to the Spirit of your God. 63. I have manifested myself to you because you have always believed in the living God, your only God, who never hides nor remains silent. He always guides, advises, and inspires you. Your faith nourishes your spirit and leads you to salvation. If 3 of my children seek me in this manner in the midst of humanity, I would offer my blessings through them for all of mankind. I observe that large multitudes hear me and believe in me. The people of Israel, including the 144,000 who I have chosen, will soon unite. They will gather at the slope of the mountain, in the White Valley, and in the chosen city. When that occurs, it will bring great joy to the Divine Father. 64. If you prepare yourself, I will give you the knowledge that humanity needs. I have given you the power to speak to your brethren about my arrival during this third era. 65. My word makes you truly meditate. As you carefully study my word, you have discovered that my teaching is eternal, and each one more profound. You are also aware that you are unable to comprehend my doctrine completely. Although you are receiving many teachings that you may forget, the time will come when you will remember each one of my teachings at the appropriate moment. This will greatly strengthen your belief in my doctrine. 66. During the first era, I chose Moses to represent me on earth. Through him, I manifested my wisdom, power, and unyielding nature. During that period, you could only comprehend me according to your limited spiritual evolution. As I spoke through the patriarchs and prophets, my word penetrated into the human heart. The nation of spiritual Israel received my inspirations and mandates. I allowed you to travel across the desert to help you develop faith and confidence in me, and to help you evolve spiritually. These were great lessons for your spiritual journey. 67. After your long journey and years of patience and great experiences, you entered into the land of Canaan and saw the fulfillment of the promise that I had repeatedly made. You discovered the Holy Land that I had prepared for you as an oasis of peace in order for you to grow and multiply. Once this nation had learned the teachings given to it by my messengers, the people of spiritual Israel went to other countries throughout the world to offer testimony of the alliance that God had made with man. 68. Thus I have encouraged you with my promises throughout all times. During this third era, I say, it is your mission to bring peace to humanity in this era. I will establish that peace through you once you have prepared yourselves. Not only will the present generation work hard to accomplish this mission, your children and their descendants will also work to bring peace to this world. My followers will become aware that they will need to follow a path that is unwavering and persistent as they fulfill their mission. 69. Meditate upon the responsibilities that I have assigned to the spiritual nation of Israel. The ordeals that you confront along your path are difficult, therefore, it is necessary for you to be strong and virtuous in order to fulfill your mission. You need to live in communion with the Father, practicing perfect prayer, and obeying His mandates so that fanaticism nor mysticism will never dwell in your heart. Only your love for me will dwell there. 70. This multitude will have the gift of speech thus. It will be able to easily explain my doctrine to others. They will offer comfort and nourishment to mankind and heal those who are physically and spiritually ill. Man is suffering during this period because he is no longer fulfilling the divine laws of morality and nature. Man, instead, seeks comfort in the false splendor of this world. He is unaware that the turmoil in his life originates from his spirit. Man has not wanted to follow the divine laws nor to fulfill his spiritual mission, failing to remember his origin from the fountain of purity and love. Mankind will continue to live in confusion, illness, and pain as long he continues to lack spiritual sensitivity, faith, and humility. My people of Israel, I offer you strength, peace, and healing balsam so that you may share these things with your brethren in my name. 71. Be aware of how fast humanity is drifting toward the abyss. What is humanity seeking? What does mankind desire? Man seeks suffering, desperation, and death. Since he does not listen to the voice of his conscience, he has extinguished his inner lamp, which is the light that guides him. He now has to amend his mistakes and suffer the consequences. 72. My people, stop mankind from falling deeper into the abyss. Defend yourself with your prayers and loving thoughts. Teach your brethren through your loving, virtuous examples. When you confront ordeals, demonstrate that you have faith and hope, accepting those ordeals as a means to purify your spirit. Rather than leading a complicated lifestyle, practice simplicity in your life, enabling your brethren to easily comprehend you. Be humble as was Jesus, and simple as the young and old, because those virtues are found in spirituality. 73. Also be as the worker who rejoices with what he has sowed and who lives in close contact with God. That worker prays at sunrise as each new day begins, at midday, and again at sunset to thank the Lord for all that he has granted him. He accepts all things granted to him by the Lord as perfect and good. The sun, the water, and all the elements of nature reflect the presence of God. Therefore, that worker loves, seeks, and perceives the Lord's presence in all those things. Thus, I want you to be as that worker in my spiritual fields. 74. During this era, I have not given you a material field to sow and cultivate. Instead, you will need to sow my word in the hearts of your brethren. Your journey is spiritual. I have given you all that you will need for your work: spiritual enlightenment, love, and my teachings. I am aware when my children rejoice after the proper sowing of my divine seed. 75. My blessings do not go unnoticed by my workers. They always expect my assistance. When they confront an ordeal, they are aware that the Lord is allowing them to practice their faith. They do not perceive an ordeal as bad and unfortunate, nor do they become weary of their innumerable ordeals. 76. My beloved people, you know that I am one with you, and that I am aware of each of your deeds. You also know that my charity will help you to overcome an ordeal after you have acquired strength and wisdom from it. You are familiar with my word and my laws. Thus, you are aware that I am unyielding in my justice, but always merciful and loving. If you commit a sin, you will need to endure the consequences of your mistake. 77. Although I am always communicating with humanity, man does not wish to listen to my voice. The majority of mankind lives apart from me except for spiritual Israel. Man worships God in an imperfect manner, but now that man is being touched by my divine enlightenment and justice, he is starting to awaken spiritually and to remember that an eternally loving God does exist. Humanity lives in a state of confusion, unable to resolve its problems. The laws created by man are now hurting humanity because those laws were based on materialism and his imperfect sciences, which I have now come to destroy. An era of light will soon descend upon humanity, and mankind will obey me and respect my divine will. I am sending guardian angels to help guide man to the Divine Father. 78. I have permitted the spiritual world to communicate with mankind for a short period. Those spirits, which are limited as you are, have manifested themselves full of purity and elevation. You have felt them as they have descended to help you in the great battle of the Third Era. Their good influence has converted many hearts, thus setting a true example. 79. I bless the spiritual beings who have manifested themselves during this period, and also the human spokesmen through whom those beings have manifested themselves. Both are achieving merits in my presence. Although those spiritual beings will no longer communicate with you after 1950, they will always be there to assist you, for that is their mission. Man needs a spiritual guide. I am the one who guides all spirits throughout the universe. However, I have always assigned a guardian angel to each being on earth. How they have suffered for you. How they weep as they observe how insensitive humanity can be. Nevertheless, they patiently fulfill their mission because they love me. 80. The era of the Holy Spirit is now beginning, in which spirits that inhabit other places in the universe are now communicating with mankind. During this era, the borders that exist in the universe will disappear, and man will begin to spiritually elevate himself to the Lord. I have come during this period to manifest myself through human spokesmen, using your own language. 81. After 1950, I will no longer utilize human language to communicate with mankind. I will speak a superior language that lacks material words, but one that little by little you will learn. Those of you who have received my teachings during this period are the spiritual people of Israel. Thus, it will be your responsibility to practice spirituality. This will allow your spirit to manifest itself without encountering any difficulties along its path, nor when it prays, nor when it fulfills its spiritual mission. Your spirit will be free on the path and able to come to me. I have emphasized spiritual communication throughout my teaching because man will eventually communicate with God in an elevated form which you will pursue. 82. I am preparing this multitude to become spiritually enlightened so that it will guide its brethren from other nations. Prepare yourselves for this mission. My divine teaching during this era will be the Divine Testament and the most important book that you possess. But you need to cherish this book within your heart, for it is truly the perfect science. 83. Just as I gave my life to humanity as the Lamb of God during the second era, I will offer my spiritual enlightenment to every spiritual being during the third era. Blessed is the disciple who prepares himself and comprehends me, for I will dwell in his heart eternally. My peace be with you.